What you gonna do, brother, when Hulkamania no longer comes down on you? Oh Lord, that hurt my throat. But then I am just recovering from COVID. Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning from wherever you are, and welcome to a breaking news live stream. Sadly, or not so sadly, depending on which side of the fence of Hulk Hogan you're sitting on, Hulk Hogan has passed away. I could have just worded that a lot better, but we are making haste to put this video together. As I said, I'm flying solo. My other comrades are unavailable at the moment. But I've been working from home this week, so I was able to just get in there and already had everything set up. So we're going to get straight into it. So, the legend, the behemoth, the literal wrestling royalty that is Hulk Hogan has passed away. He had a heart attack, suspected heart attack at least according to TMZ. And that was it. Only 71 years old. Which is no age really, but I mean in terms of wrestlers making it to that old these days, it's quite a miracle. And given Hulk Hogan's history with steroids and other substances, it's amazing he's made it to 71. I say this as Ric Flair is still alive and well, and other people much older than Hulk Hogan are alive and well. So yes, I mean this is huge. Like this man was a wrestling god. Regardless of what you think about him, he was the embodiment of wrestling. Hey, Phony, he helped put wrestling on the map, along with Vince McMahon's marketing genius. Well, not put wrestling on the match. He helped take it to that next level. He made it Hollywood. It's the best way to describe it. He is an absolute pop culture icon. He is just like when you talk about wrestling to non-wrestling fans, the first person that usually pops up in their head is Al Snow. But then after Al Snow, it's of course Hulk Hogan. Now, obviously, it's Hulk Hogan. Everyone remember. My dad, who knows jack shit about wrestling, knew who Hulk Hogan was. Then again, my dad really liked Suburban Commando, so that did help. But everyone knew Hulk Hogan. The man helped elevate the sports entertainment to incredible new levels. Unfortunately, guided by a man that had no interest in bringing the whole industry up with him, but instead crushed competition. And he had the perfect man to help him do it, because that is exactly what Terry Bollea did in his ascendancy, was crush competition. And he wasn't a liked man. Nobody liked Hulk Hogan. I think he had like 3 or 4 friends in the industry, and that's about it. But we can get into that later. We're going to talk about some of the positives about Hulk Hogan. Okay. Now, if we look back at the 80s, basically, it was Superstar. He just basically stole Superstar Billy Graham's look. Oh, Vince put that look on him and the mannerisms and all of that. That's how we got Hulk Hogan. His wrestling theme song didn't even initially belong to him. It belonged to, I believe it was a tag team or somebody else. And then they just stuck it on Hulk Hogan. He had a completely different theme song. But on that note, and in spite of it being patriotic towards America and all this kind of shit, it is the greatest wrestling theme song ever made. I have it on my playlist. It's that good. I don't have any other wrestling songs on my playlist. I just have, Real American. That's the main kind of, that's how good that song is. Sorry, yeah. But I'm going to talk about some of the positives with Hulk Hogan, because there are a lot of negatives. But my personal positives, number one, I was addicted to this man's promos. Like, I could never say he will never be my top 10 favorite wrestler. He'll never be among my favorite wrestlers. However, if we're talking promos, he's in my top 5. His energy, his mannerisms, the way he just had no fucks given to executing a promo was just almost second to none. Of course, there were ones that are better than him, but in terms of what he embodied in that era, his promos were legendary. Like we would sit there, me and my friends would sit there and reenact his promos, and of course he always started off with the best line. Well, let me tell you something, brother, or fucking COVID. Well, let me tell you something, brother, or Mean Gene. You know, what a great way to start off a promo, and then he'll just get into it, and while he's doing it, he's flexing and putting his all into it. He never half-assed a single promo. I'll give him that. The same can't be said about The Rock. Like, The Rock, if you look at The Rock now, he comes in, he half-assed, throws out a bunch of cheesy garbage, and then goes home and collects $20 million for the privilege of it. But Hulk Hogan, to his credit, and despite everything, the man always put his all into every bloody promo that he ever did. Even the one that he did last, where he got booed out of the stadium, rightly so. He always put his his promos. So we have best theme song ever, among the best at promos. His mannerisms. So his mannerisms, dear Lord, how I loved his mannerisms. Like, especially, and to this day, me and my friends, when we fake, like, just get into a fake scenario, it's always, you, no, and then up comes the leg to pretend to kick somebody in the chest. That alone was great, and we would use that part, like, if we had unwanted attention from a woman, or even a gay man. Hey, you know, it's an open world, we're a good-looking bunch here. Well, not anymore, but anyway. But when any of my friends had unwanted attention, it was always, you had to do the Hogan. And the Hogan was not the kick, but it was always, you, no, and then just walk away. And that was it. And every time we'd see that, you know, you buy the man a pint for doing that. That's how much. Yeah, well, we never got around to tearing off the shirts, but yes, that was obviously the legendary part, was tearing off the shirts. But that's how much that guy's mannerisms and his promotions kind of really did just seep into our own life and our own cultures. And of course, when we're talking about wrestling, you know, you do have your legendary moments with the Andre the Giant slam, and well, that's the kind of main moment that stuck out in WWE. He has plenty, but none of them are that I like, apart from when he lost to Ultimate Warrior, and when he lost to The Undertaker, and all this kind of stuff, and when he was on his way out. Those were great moments. But from that, so in WWE, the guy had go away heat. Like, you know, you enjoyed him for a little bit as a kid, and then it's just like, oh, Jesus Christ, it's always this guy. And I'm sorry, but when you had phenomenons like Ted DiBiase, Jake the Snake Roberts, Earthquake, Macho Man Randy Savage, Mr. Perfect, Bret the Hitman Hart, you know, when you had Undertaker, when you had just this plethora of better wrestlers who were just, their all-round game was phenomenal. Even their promos were phenomenal. Everything about them was phenomenal. And yet, at the top of the pile is still Hulk Hogan, who was just like the same moves. Every match was the same and all this kind of stuff. It was just like, just go away. So even from a young age, it was just like, just go away. But then what happens? And then comes one of the greatest moments in wrestling history that sparked off one of the greatest wrestling wars of all time and gave us just the best era of wrestling. Of course, I'm talking about when he turned heel and became part of the NWO. What that is, for me, Hogan's most defining moment. But of course, you can't get to that defining moment unless you have that entire legacy behind you. So the payoff was phenomenal because we suffered through all the bollocks in WWE. Then it goes to WCW, and it goes on my favorite run as a heel, as Hollywood Hulk Hogan, and the NWO. And it just, yeah, it is the greatest heel turn ever, but bar none, because Vince would never let him turn heel. And I know Hogan, at times he wanted to turn heel, but then at the same time he was trying to protect his character. But then the moment just came. And every time it comes, there's always a great payoff. It was the same when Roman Reigns finally turned heel, but that is just nothing compared to this. What happened with Hogan is the greatest heel turn of all time. It gave us the most legendary run of wrestling. Oh, look who's here. I'll bring you in, Sam.
Thank you. I'm gonna hit my
Hollywood's
shower in
up.
30 minutes.
Oh, you're setting yourself up because I can't hear you.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good. I'm going to work in
Oh,
about
hang
20
on. I can't
minutes.
hear you because I don't have my speaker on. My apologies.
No problem. Can you hear me now?
Hang on. Let me see. Wait for it to connect. Speak.
Hello.
Yeah, yeah, all good. Sorry, mate. That was my cock up. But Zam, your thoughts on the legend that is Hulk Hogan before we get into the kind of nitty gritty?
Shocked but not sad. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Look, I honestly thought Hogan would be one of these guys who would live to about 85, 90 even.
Hmm.
You know, he didn't think about, he didn't come across as one of the ones who would pass away young. He was the one of the few wrestlers who truly made it. You know, he was right to the top, financially secure. You know, he didn't have the red carpet rolled out for him wherever he goes. You know, he's gonna probably get the best healthcare imaginable. You know, being so rich and everything. So the last thing I expected for him to do was to die at 71. Not sure. I mean, it wasn't too long ago that he was on Raw earlier this year, getting booed
Mm.
at the fucking park. So
Yeah.
so I never expected this to happen. This is one of the biggest surprises of the year.
Okay, so on that, Zam, I'm going to do a quick recap because I've talked about the positives of Hogan, and people that know me and Zam at least will know we're not a fucking fan of Hogan, never really have been. However, he has had some defining moments, of course, being like one of the men that helped blow up wrestling into the stratosphere. I was saying that my dad even knew who Hulk Hogan was, even though he never knew shit about wrestling. Everyone knew Hulk Hogan. And for me, the positives I took from Hogan are a few things. Number one was the best theme song ever made. Number two was his mannerisms, and number three are his promos. They were always so electric, always like fun to watch. He was one of those wrestlers where I honestly didn't give a shit about him in the ring. I just wanted to see what his promos were like because they always just the corniness of his mannerisms and his delivery always had me hooked. And I was saying till his dying day, which was not long ago, where he was in WWE and he got booed out, he still gave a great promo, which the same can't be said for The Rock, who I would say is the greatest promo of all time. The last like year or two, he's been the last couple of years actually, he's been abysmal and corny and like just full of like piss poor
Well,
cliches.
I could
So
say that about
your
Hogan
thoughts?
too. Like, I mean, when Hogan was being when he came out to a chorus of boos of the first Raw of Netflix, you know, he really tried to go back to the old classics. You know what I mean? And like mention people like Macho Man and shit like that. People weren't buying it. You know, like
No.
they won't get taking what he was selling. And so I you know, so like for me, like some of his stuff wasn't it was old stuff that people recognize, you know, all the old hits and stuff like that. He was obviously the perfect guy to give like a sort of rendition for Mean Gene Okerlund when he died. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah,
he's
of
always like,
course.
let me tell you something, Mean
So
Gene,
Mean
perfect
Gene.
person, and all of that. But even then, like, there's only no matter who you are, there's only so much your shit can offer the public before people get fed up of it, bored of it, or don't find it as fun as they once did, or whatever.
Yeah, but but the point is that he never half-assed the promo. That was a thing. Even if you harken back to old cliches, he still never half-assed it compared to a lot of people to this day who aren't even nowhere near like as seasoned as him. So that I'll give him that. However, and to some of Phony Beatlemaniac's stuff, yeah, the nuclear heat at Bash of the Beach, absolutely. Yep, the whole voodoo thing, and of course, yep, Sting at Starcade, all of that stuff were great moments. I would say that Hogan's best moments were in WCW. Almost all of them, one or two exceptions, because in WWE, you know, he had to follow, he had to toe Vince's kind of vision more than anything, and it just didn't play well. Plus, at this point in time, he was just making no fucking friends at WWE. He was
Look,
stabbing everyone in the back and making it all about him. At least in WCW, he had complete creative control over everything. So it wasn't even about stabbing people in the back. It was just like, no, I'm putting myself over, fuck you, kind of thing. Which is just screwing people over instead.
yeah, I mean, he became the boss.
Yeah.
But look, for me, when I loved the fact that he turned heel. I loved it.
Yeah.
Obviously, people call it the greatest heels all time because it's fucking Hulk Hogan who never expected to turn heel at all. But there were moments during his period of being a heel I did not like. Like he played the cowardly heel at times, yeah. And I'm thinking to myself, mate, just because you're Hulk Hogan as a heel, you should never ever be the cowardly heel. Like you should be like I don't take shit from anybody type of heel. I'm almost like a monster heel to a degree. Yeah. So when he went all cowardly, with going in, oh no, brother, don't hit me, brother, and all that sort of shit. You know what I mean? Save me, brother, and all of that sort of stuff. Like what the fuck? This is not the Hulk Hogan I know. Even though you're playing a bad guy, like this makes no sense for who he is as as a character. So stuff like that really pissed me off. But I'll tell you something, brother. Yeah. There was my favorite period of Hulk Hogan is not obviously during the red and yellow era, not during his time of being a heel. It was when he was Mr. America. I fucking loved Mr. America. That was
Really?
I
Mr.
really
America?
loved because I really felt that they took Hulk Hogan and they gave it a twist and they kept him. It was and I really felt like it put it rejuvenated Hulk Hogan's old gimmick in a different way. And what really, and then he had that it was that guy Zach something Gowan, was it the guy with the one leg
Yeah, Zach Gowen.
and all of that sort of stuff, and then he had his beef with Vince McMahon and stuff like that, and then he's wearing a mask and he's coming out to his old music because when Hulk Hogan became the face again, he was coming out to Jimi Hendrix. Yeah, so when he became Mr. America, he was coming back out to a real American and all of that, and it really felt like okay. I really loved it. I don't know why it just worked for me, and so I was so gutted that the length of this particular period of Mr. America never really got fulfilled because I think there was some sort of disputes he had with Vince McMahon, and eventually Vince McMahon fired him and something along those lines. Used kind of like the gimmick of Mr. America revealing himself to be Hulk Hogan as a way to fire him, and that's what he did. But during the pompous of it, I fucking loved it. It was the most I've ever been entertained by Hulk Hogan.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
Fair
but
enough.
just to continue, but nothing will ever when it comes to his matches. Not Ultimate Warrior, not fucking Undertaker, not any of those matches. Nothing will ever beat fucking him versus Shawn Michaels in 2007. You know what I mean? Or was it 2005?
Best match ever.
There's certain matches I like to go back and rewatch, and obviously Eddie Guerrero versus Brock Lesnar, like one of the best feel good moments in wrestling. Obviously Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels, WrestleMania 25, one of the great. The match doesn't feel as great as it once did, but at the time I thought it was the greatest match of all time. And obviously Shawn Michaels versus Hulk Hogan because I love the other setting, and that's more to do with Shawn Michaels than with Hulk Hogan. But there's also Hulk Hogan's vanity coming into play here, which is why Shawn Michaels did what he did, And it took a while for Hulk Hogan to realize, but you could see it in his face during the course of this match. Oh shit, what the fuck is this guy doing? And I loved it. And
Yeah,
we
yeah,
got Shawn Michaels as a heel again, which was great
yeah.
as
I
well.
mean, it was cause Sean didn't want to put Hulk Hogan over, and Hulk Hogan didn't want to go under Sean, and Sean was pissed off because like it just didn't make sense Hulk Hogan going over at the time,
Well, he
and
didn't
so
want a
that's
face
why.
versus face as well. He didn't want face versus face. He
Yeah,
wanted Shawn Michaels to be, and that was the best. And Michaels might not have liked it, but it was so good to see him as a heel again. You know what I mean?
yeah. Shawn Michaels was always better as a heel, never as a face. That was always his best kind of stuff. But Rick, no, we don't care. You know, we don't feel bad about criticizing him. He's a piece of shit. He's a shit human being. You know, I can focus on the positives, but the negatives just like outweigh. Just what a backstabbing, and let's not forget a chronic bullshitter, just chronic lying. Like he could not help lying. Like Metallica stuff, SummerSlam stuff, fucking you name it. The guy was just which is true to a narcissist's character anyway. That they cannot stop lying. It's a habitual thing with people like him, and it was just stuff that just didn't need to be.
400 days a year he was wrestling when there's
Yeah,
only like 365 days in the year. And he tried to explain it by saying the time zones of him going to wrestle in Japan and flying around the equator, around the earth, the other direction, which made it accumulated to 400 days. Some shit like that.
yeah, just ridiculous. Rick, look, I know you've just been silly now, but obviously, yes, if you say the N word just with no context, it doesn't make you a fucking racist. All right? If it's in a song, if it's you quoting something or other, okay, it's not a default racist thing. But he said it in a very racist context. In a very racist context that he didn't want his daughter fucking an N word and all this kind of shit, unless it was like a rich basketball player or whatever it was he said at the time. Okay, that's racist as shit. You know what I mean? But that was the other positive, you see? Thanks, Rick B. Thanks to you, I got there. He brought down Gorka. Thanks to him and Peter Till brought down the Gorka. Now, the Gorka was a publication that I loathed with a passion because they were the epitome of exactly what the British press want to be, but could never go that extra step. But the Gorka was, and that was thinking they have this absolute God-given right to pry into the most private aspects of a person's life. Hence how we got the Hulk Hogan video outing Peter Till as gay, even though he didn't want it to be. And the guy that ran the Gorka was fucking British. So there was no surprise there in the lengths that he went to expose celebrities that was nobody's fucking business. So having Hogan be the man that brought them down was awesome. Unfortunately, it exposed him as a massive racist piece of shit, but that was just another feather to add into the cap of what a massive arsehole he was. But I give him that, you know, we didn't get no more Gorka, and the worst, the even worse part of him, that's right, worse than him being out as a racist, was his destruction of TNA, along with Bishop. That is unforgivable. It's beyond redemption. Like, you can give me £1,000,000 and I will still never forgive you for destroying TNA, which was
Fucking
the
cancer,
best.
man.
Huh?
He's a fucking cancer.
He's a cancer.
Yeah.
He's a wrestling cancer. And even in WCW, 2 years in, he should have gone. He should have gone. They should have got rid of him because enough was enough. There was a whole load of them that if you'd gotten rid of a load of the top guys in WCW and let the young people come in, the company might not have gone under. They probably still would have because
Look,
the new owners just didn't care about wrestling at
I,
all.
I blame Dixie Carter just as much as I blame
Yeah,
Hogan. I
she
mean,
brought them in.
she brought them in because the problem with TNA is that they weren't. They just would. They just sometimes you just have to accept yourself as being number two. You know what I mean? And there's no
Always.
harm. And there's
There's
no
no
harm in
harm in
being
that.
number two. No
No.
harm in it because like you don't need to be number one. It's the wrestling industry. There's only fucking two massive shows. You're number two. You come in second. You know, and you've got yourself a massive follow. I loved TNA before before Hogan came along, and they made household names of so many of their wrestlers: Alex Shelley, Chris Sabin,
AJ
AJ
Styles,
Styles,
Samoa Joe.
Christopher Daniels. Um, Eric,
Yeah.
what's his face now? The name escapes me.
Eric
Oh
Young.
God, Eric Young. Yeah,
Eric Young.
all these
Xavier
Curry
Woods.
Man. All these guys. Yeah,
Our
Sharp Boy.
Truth.
You know,
Yeah. Shark Boy. There's loads.
yeah, so many of these guys and so many wrestlers from the WWE were happy to jump ship, and their career kind of got revitalized.
Kurt Angle.
Within Kurt and
Kurt
Christian
Angle's
Cage.
TNA run was better than his WWE run for me. I loved his TNA run. All the
Yeah,
shit with his wife, all of that was brilliant.
Booker T.
Booker T.
Um, God, Billy, fucking
Oh,
Mr.
Billy
Ass,
Gunn. Yeah,
Billy
with the
Gunn.
beautiful people.
Yeah, Kevin Nash. You know, the Dudleys.
Yeah.
Fucking Jeff Hardy, even Sting got another chance to be like the man again. You
Well,
know,
Sting never really went to WWE until
no,
way
I'm not.
late
I
into
know,
his
yeah,
career.
yeah, yeah. I'm not talking about him being in WWE, but
Yeah,
just as a
yeah.
guy who revitalized his career.
Oh, his
Like
career. Yeah, yeah.
TNA did so much to help wrestlers who ended up really being top guys once they went back into the WWE.
Matt
And
Hardy was another one.
yeah, yeah,
He helped. Not only did he revitalize his career, he put TNA back on the map after it was destroyed with the broken Matt Hardy
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
That's when I started getting back into it, and I was just like, okay, it's a little bit batshit crazy, a little bit Lucha Undergroundy, which I don't mind, but there's something here. And I kind of dipped in and out during the Broken Matt Hardy era, and then from like 2018 onwards, I've kind of more and more consistent. In the last like 3-4 years, it's been my number one favorite uh, wrestling promotion because it's just been phenomenal.
And I was watching it religiously, and then Hogan came along, and all right, fine, I wasn't necessarily too happy, but then like he's bringing in people like the fucking Nasty Boys. You know what I mean? They should have they should have renamed themselves to the fucking Obesity Boys. You know what I mean? Because they were fucking, oh my god, all these fat fucking over the hill cunts. Oh, pardon my French. I'm really sorry. You know what I mean? All these guys coming in, who are really basically unlike the WWE guys who came in there who still had something to offer, these guys didn't. They would,
They were
and
duds, not Dudleys. They were duds.
they were Hogan's entourage pretty much.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? And they were then putting people who had made a name of that company, who put that company on the map, are now getting suppressed under these
yeah. They
under
were
the
sidelined. They were badly booked. They destroyed the women's division, which
yep.
was spectacular. It was better. It was more popular than the men's division, and they just ruined a great product, a product that beat WWE in the ratings here in the UK. Of course, that helps that it was on Challenge TV instead of Sky Sports. That plays a much bigger
And
role
it's free TV.
because it was free. Well, not free. It was cable TV. You still
Yeah,
had to
but
pay
you
for
don't
it,
have to subscribe to anything.
but
You
you
know what I
don't have to
mean?
pay like through the nose just to get bloody Sky Sports. An always baffling decision. I could never understand Sky for doing it, but here we are. But TNA was massive in the UK. Like they've only now have they beat their all-time record for attendance in their 25-year history, and that was just last week for 7,600. So think about that. AW just did 20,000. You know, WWE has done like 60, 70, 80,000 in its past and all this kind of shit. Whereas TNA only beat its record now with 7,600 tickets sold. But it's like a cockroach. It's not going to die. You can't kill TNA. It's forever. And it, unlike Hogan killing off every other company, these fuckers survived. Of course, it helps that Sinclair Media bought them after the fact, which had a lot of money to back things up. But yeah, it's just
Well, well,
it.
despite Hogan coming into TNA, I was still watching it. And I know we've discussed this before regarding him changing the ring, and obviously a square ring's better. I still think there's a possibility that if they kept the six-sided, they could eventually work on it and improve on it to make it more safer and better for wrestlers to wrestle on. There was always that possibility, but we never got that opportunity
Yeah.
because Hogan thought, "Fuck this, I'm getting rid of it." And then I'm
No, no.
famously said,
It was after he got rid of it, but it was the wrestlers didn't fucking want it anymore. They just didn't want the six sided ring. They wanted the square ring.
well, he called it a pig pen, yeah,
Yeah.
and that was me done. Like motherfucker, you come in and we're gonna. Look,
Yeah, it's just
honestly,
disrespectful.
I didn't see it from that perspective. Honestly,
I didn't
I
either.
really think they should have. I still to this day they should have kept it and somehow worked on making it more better for the wrestlers because
I'm with you.
the
Yeah, yeah,
uniqueness was there. Like some of the
yeah.
most amazing, unusual, unique matches came from that ring. And by him going in there, and it looked, as far as I was concerned, it looked like okay, I'm coming into this industry. I'm changing shit up. I'm bringing in all my old fucking has-beens, and I'm calling this once amazing ring now a fucking pig pen, and
Yeah.
I'm now bringing in a smaller four-sided bollocks ring. And you hear all the fans going, "We want six-sided," stuff like that. And I thought, I'm done. I can't. If I keep watching this, I'm helping this industry grow under this new demographic where I just
Regime.
under
Regime.
regime, sorry, where I don't support, and I stopped watching TNA
Yeah.
ever since, and it's such a shame.
I
You know,
dipped out when it was just it was like a couple of months in where it went from TNA to TNA as in TNT to like total non-stop talking. And I remember one time in a 2 hour program we got 12 minutes of wrestling and the rest was talking. 12 minutes of wrestling in a 2 hour program. It was literally non-stop fucking talking because of Bischoff. And I was like, no, I'm done. I'm not. What am I fucking watching here? This isn't wrestling anymore. So I lasted for as much as I could. I think I dipped out about 2011. It would have been because
Bischoff, yeah,
I tried, but fuck those two.
he did his thing where he had the ring ramp, so the entrance of the ring to the ring in line with the ramp, sorry, in line with the ring itself. He did that shit. That was such a Bischoff thing
Yeah.
as well. And by the way, you mentioned on Bischoff and Hogan doing a new. Well, only one of them is now, mate. Um,
Well, they
so
weren't doing a
yeah,
wrestling promotion. It was an amateur wrestling promotion, not an actual wrestling thing.
Hogan did do something which wasn't too bad actually. It was like a celebrity wrestling show he had.
Yeah, in
Um,
Australia, I think he did one as well.
I don't
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
but he had people like uh is it Dustin Diamond who played Screech in
Oh, I don't know about that one.
oh it was actually really good because Screech Dustin Diamond had a really good fucking match. He had a Falls Count Anywhere match, and Hogan was one of the few judges and stuff like that. And it was like a celebrity wrestling, and it was actually not bad. I'll be honest with you. This was after TNA. I did enjoy that, but it only lasted one season. This particular show, which is
Okay, I never
unfortunate.
even
But
knew about it.
he was always making appearance after that. Once he started really getting over the hill, he was always making appearances. There was a moment where he fought. Just to really stick on Hulk Hogan now, regardless of TNA, when he fought Randy Orton. Like Randy Orton's the fucking legend killer. This guy never killed a fucking legend to save his life. If he was going to be a real legend killer, Hogan needed to put this fucker over, and he didn't.
Yeah,
And that kind of shows you who Hogan is. And then
yeah,
and obviously there's other things as well, like Jesse Ventura never speaks very kindly of him because of the union thing, which he thwarted as well. It was all about Hogan, and I very much look forward to a Dark Side of the Ring, several episodes, maybe a whole season on Hulk Hogan because there's so much you can fucking talk about this guy.
oh
Hogan's
yes.
knows best, which was absolute fucking I watched that for a little bit. I'll be honest with you, I was a sucker. I watched it and it was fucking
Oh, I watched
terrible.
that too. I
His
tried, but it was god awful.
his
God awful.
son Nick, had a car crash with one of his friends in this car. Nick came out unscathed. I won't say unscathed, but he all his bits are still working. And let's just say that his friend, however, is now in a wheelchair for the rest of his life and will need medical care for the rest of his life. And Hulk Hogan made some terrible comment about saying this was God's will or something along those
Yeah, yeah,
lines.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
this is not a good guy. Some of the shit that he's done, You know,
It was just look. He was basically the Trump of wrestling, disingenuous, constantly lying, will stab you in the back to get to the top. He was just a slime bag. He was a legitimate slime bag. Like I said, like if you take away some of the positive aspects of it, Terry Bollea, the person, was scum. You know what I mean? But he's not unique in that regard. He's atypical of a lot of people in that era, which would stab their mother in the back to kind of get get to the top and get that bag. So it's when the wrestlers turn out to be like really top like blokes where you're just like fucking hell, that's a surprise kind of thing. But yeah, Hogan. I mean, nobody liked him. Nobody liked Hulk Hogan. And I'm sure like the whole country of Saudi Arabia will hold a state funeral for him because they won't be able to bring him back for any more shows. And
I'm sure the clan
TKO
will be
Wrestling will now
fucking
probably like
yeah.
melt. So our favorite racist is dead.
I'm just checking WWE. But the last few times I've been on their website, they still haven't acknowledged his death yet, which is a surprise. Now it's been about an hour since he's died. You would have thought they would have put something up by now to acknowledge. I mean, this whole fucking Hogan, regardless of how ill we speak of him, he is part of their Mount Rushmore, and
He is the Mount Rushmore of wrestling. Look, you can't deny it. Like he's definitely part of the Mount Rushmore. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But
and
the Mount
yeah,
Rushmore, you can't just have four people on that mount because there's loads. Because you have to go by era, and in his era, it'll be him, Macho Man, like Jake the
Ted
Snake,
DiBiase,
Ted DiBiase, yeah,
Mr.
I,
Perfect,
no, not Mr. Perfect, but from the new generation era, then you'd have like Bret Hart and
Shawn Michaels,
Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon, those kind of like
Diesel,
Diesel and
Sid
all this kind of
Justice,
shit.
maybe I don't know.
Yeah, all this kind of shit. That's why you can't just have four. It's impossible. It's always when it comes to Mount Rushmore, you need seven because every era has like seven, like
But then
just
people might say, okay,
standout
well,
wrestlers.
one from each era, and then obviously Hulk Hogan would be that one. You know what I mean? If you had
They're
to take
probably
one from,
searching the archives for Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead. uh, sorry, Dan. What did you say?
no, but if you had to take one from each era, and Hulk Hogan would be the one from his era. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
absolutely. Bret Hart from the
So
new generation, and Stone Cold probably from the Attitude Era, and so on. Yeah, so absolutely. I mean,
John Cena,
this,
obviously,
yeah, John Cena, all this kind of stuff. Well, it
Undertaker.
gets
You keep forgetting
easier.
about him. I mean,
It gets
Undertaker's been in
easier
all the
post.
eras. That's the
Huh?
crazy thing. Undertaker's been in like three or four of those eras. Yeah,
Yeah,
he was Hulk
he's
Hogan's era, Attitude, New Generation. You
yeah,
know, the Ruthless Aggression and PG era. He was in all the fucking eras.
all of them. I mean, he is like the god. So you got Mount Rushmore, then there's God above, and that's like Undertaker because he's like eternal. You know what I mean? I mean, he just fucking tombstone or power slammed somebody last week. I
On
can't remember.
NXT.
Huh? On
Over,
NXT.
over,
You know
over,
what I
over
mean?
Femi or something like
That's it.
that.
Obafemi. Yeah. Obafemi or Trick Williams, one of the two. No, it was Obafemi. You know what I mean? So the guy's eternal. He's a literal Undertaker. Just never dies. You know what I mean? But anyway, on that note, I think we could end the stream here. It's 40 minutes in. So I'd say rest in peace, Hulk Hogan, but not really. You were a shit human being. But you did give us some amazing memories. Every arsehole does. And
Yeah.
for that, I will be grateful.
There will be people who will be remorsing you, Hulk Hogan, even if it might not be us two. So
Yeah.
if you guys do believe in life after death and he is listening to us, yeah, fuck you for a start, but still, nevertheless, you will have your ass kisses. Go to them.
Yeah. And you were a legend, even though you weren't the